Hello, cats and kittens, and welcome to Echoes is what I'm welcoming you to. Hang on. There we go. Let's try that again. Welcome to Feline Forensics and the Meowseum Mystery. This is a game that's being published, is published by DevCats. It's one of my favorite developers because it's a bunch of cats making fun games for humans to support animal rescue. So, of course, I like them. And let's get back to the game. I was just adjusting the volume. Hopefully the volume is good. I have my headsets turned down rather low. Let me turn it up so I can hear. And I did play the demo of this. I don't know if the mystery that was in the demo will be part of this. That was just illustrating how the mystery solving goes, so it was a pretty simple one. One moment. Sorry about that. Had to clear my throat. Alright. So, yeah, that was just the detective finding their keys. So, don't know if we'll start with that or if that was just for the demo. So, here we go. Let's see what there is to see. Another long day. Street lamps are already on, and I haven't been in my office yet. I should check my computer. I'm sure I have at least a few emails waiting by now. Although, if it's the commissioner volunteering me for more debriefs, I'll have to put my paw down. His foot was tapping. Spin around. Alright, let's see if this old litter box still works. I just need to log in. And, huh? It won't take my password. Something here has my whiskers twitching. This might turn into a regular investigation. Oh yeah, it wasn't his keys, it was his password. So this is the mystery that was in the demo. I'll start tracking all my leads on this bulletin board in case I need to reference them again. So I guess the, let's see. What should I take a look at? Computer, the desk, the phone. So I guess the demo becomes the tutorial. So let's look at the computer. Nothing's changed. My computer is still locked. I probably shouldn't try the password again until I'm sure I know what it is. Let's see. What should I take a look at? The desk. It's possible I just wrote the password down and threw it in my desk drawers. Okay, not in the top drawer. Surely it'll be in the bottom drawer. Aha, this must be it. Wait, no, this is just a standard department business card. So the following procedure requires our entry into evidence, but unfortunately, this might be more serious than it seems. And we'll look at the phone. I could call the department secretary for help if they hadn't already gone home for the day. Alright. So, you notice there was the icon over the computer when we were close to it. So we're gonna look for another icon that'll let us look at something. Okay. Oh, look, it's a Felix clock. Okay. Oh wait. There's a little thing on the side. Business card. A business card I found in the drawers of my office desk. It's a business card printed on quality paper, although age has weathered the once white sheen to yellow. On the card, depicted in black ink, is the department logo and general information such as business address and phone number. Okay. Feline Forensics Inc. Private Detective Agency. 555 meow, 555 purr. Can we flip it around? With the L, with the left. Can we flip it over? A zooms in more? No? Okay. Guess that's it that we can do on that. Nothing kept here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, LB. What do we have here? Oh, the unknown password. Oh, I love the laser pointer. Case information. So, leads. Hey, invalid ID. Welcome in. And thank you for redeeming a kitty bonk. His Royal Majesty welcomes you. And I welcome you too. So, we are playing the Feline Forensics and the Meowseum Mystery, which was published by DevCats. And it's the first game that they have published that they did not develop. Okay, so what do I need to do? Unknown password. The unknown password, yes. It's telling me to click on A. I need to move. Okay. For some reason, my computer isn't accepting my password. Did the department network get hacked? All I found on my desk was an old business card, but I'm not sure how helpful that's going to be. I guess I could give it a second glance. Oh, now that I've looked at this, now I'll probably be able to flip it over. Unfortunately, there wasn't any password reminder in my desk. Could this be more serious? Okay, now we'll look at this again. Okay. No, it's not letting me flip it over or anything. Wait. There we go. Now it did. Emergencies only. Extension 1029. Of course! I knew there was something else here. Why didn't I think to flip over that business card sooner? The extension written on here belongs to the department manager. Luckily, I would classify this as an emergency. I should give them a call immediately and let them know what's going on. And we're gonna take a look at the phone. Now that I have the department manager's extension, I can give them a call about my computer. Good evening, Detective. I hope this is important, because I'm in the middle of dinner with my family. Apologies, but we might have a security issue. My computer's password has inexplicably changed. I hate to break this news to you, Detective, but inexplicable is, in fact, quite explicable. If I do recall, this is the second time this week you've interrupted my wife's delicious home-cooked meal. I'm sorry? From what I could gather, you were on another milk-fueled bender. Through slurred speech, you told me you changed your own password. And this is the part where I'm so embarrassed you tell me the password, correct? I would consider, but you also informed me that you hid it somewhere. Somewhere that only a detective of your caliber would be able to find. So get on with it, and ensure that not a single report on this matter is out of place tomorrow. And let me reiterate while you're in your right mind. Do not call me again unless it is a real emergency. Click. I think if I had just forgot my password, this wouldn't be as humiliating. Either way, not in my proudest moment, but I can make up for that, even if I am technically this crime's primary suspect. Retracing my steps, following the proper timeline, and correcting any inconsistencies in the case notes will be paramount. So I take a look at the desk again. Shouldn't waste time. Alright, the ad break is finishing. So basically, we just got off the phone with our department manager and we're informed that we're in a milk-fueled bender. We declared that we were changing our password and hiding it, and only a place that a detective of our caliber would be able to find. So, apparently cats get drunk on milk. Or at least this cat does. There we go. I'm sorry it gets a little dizzying. I'm just trying to get to where I can see all this stuff and see what I can interact with. And that means spinning it around. Now I don't need to look at any of this. Nothing's changed. Yeah. Don't need to look there. Well, let's look at our inspections performed. That is at least checked off now. Okay, we have nothing else in here. Now we're going to look at our case notes. According to the department manager, I changed my own computer password and hid it somewhere in my office. Apparently, I'm creating my own mysteries now. Okay. Ah, X. There's something else down there. There we go. Without the current password, he can't unlock the computer in his office or check his mail. The detective left his office late last night, and at some point after, the department network was hacked. The next day, the detective attempted to log into his computer, but found that the password had been changed. We know that this is incorrect. How can I dispute this? Department manager testimony. I see, that makes sense. The department manager did confirm that nothing was hacked. Embarrassingly, just a bit too much indulgence on my part. That being said, I've only got a rough outline from here, and they won't settle for anything less than perfection. It's time to thoroughly investigate the rest of my office and use my journal to fill in every blank necessary. You've learned almost everything you need to fill the detective's shoes, so let's put those sleuthing skills to the test. Did you know you could rotate the camera? Yes, we were already doing that. Or if you need to get around quicker, use the zoomies button, which is right trigger and shift. Neat, okay? Whee. Whee. Compare that to this. Okay. Ah. Now we can actually click on some other items. It's my old map of historic Philadelphia, but I don't remember all these thumbtacks. They're each holding a thin shred of paper to various addresses in the city, but no one seems more important than another. I think it might be impossible to know where to go with this lead until I have more clues. Okay. Let's see what we can find over here. Cat tower, filing cabinet. Cat tower. One might ask themselves, why would any self-respecting feline investigator keep one of these demeaning furniture pieces in their professional office? It was a gift from some old co-workers who thought they were being exceptionally humorous. ... Also, it keeps my claws properly managed and sometimes helps me think. Let's see what we can find over here. Filing cabinet. I have a few of these cabinets to keep track of all my previous cases. Oh, of course it's not unlocked. Those records are pretty confidential. Wait. I don't lock these. That's since I kept misplacing the key. I'm certain this is significant. I might have put my password in here, or at the very least, another clue. Let's see what we can find over here. Okay, wait, back to that. Is there something over here to investigate? Bookshelf. This shelf is absolutely packed with different tomes, journals, studies, and the occasional novelization. If I hid some sort of clue in one of these books, it would take me far longer to find it than it's worth. I wouldn't put it past myself, but I don't have anything to go on yet. Filing cabinets. Usually just for keeping contracts, reference documents, and various policy paperwork. I can't imagine I would have slid a note with the password on it into this mess of a drawer. Even under strong influence of dairy, I wouldn't have done something so reckless. Okay. Trash can. When you need to dig up the truth, you've got to act like an alley cat. Empty milk carton. Comically clean fish bones. Used yarn ball. Ugh. None of this looks very helpful. Wait a minute. There's a crumpled receipt, and it looks like I've redacted most of it. Nothing about the actual purchase remains, and only the store's address is left visible. Visible? Visible. Where could this lead me? Is there something over here to investigate? And we're back there. But now we've got more things in our evidence. So I rummaged through the trash, didn't find more than some outdated paperwork and an old receipt. Bookshelf. I would need more to find more evidence. Narrow my search. Left visible. Okay. And then next. Okay, detective office late, and shortly after found himself at the milk bar, imbibing on the finest dairy a cat PI could buy. After returning to the office, the detective changed his password, computer's login information before it was lost to the memory of lactose stupor. Having successfully allayed his plot and proud of his mastermind scheme, the detective called the department manager before finally retiring for the evening. The next day, the detective attempted to log into his office computer but found that the password had changed. Great. That's where we are. And I need to look at... Okay, unbeknownst... to the detective. The detective had changed the... Okay, I see. I changed the password to his computer and... Okay, let's see. Password to his computer. And hid inside a blank. Okay. Furthermore, he... Okay. I don't think there's very much more we can do here quite yet. The blank... Oh wait, hid. Hid... password? To the computer. Inside a blank that recently. Okay, so... That's all we can do here. Yeah. Okay. And... here we go. We can inspect the receipt. Most of the information on this receipt has been redacted, which is not a normal practice for detectives such as myself, especially not for consumers. The only elements left visible are an address, 13 North 2nd Street, presumably for the store, and a string of numbers, presumably to identify the item internally. Okay. Not letting me inspect it. So, what can I do? Okay, we already looked at this. Crumpled receipt did have an address on it. Though, what was it again? I don't recall what's around here. But the slip of paper does have a phone number written on it. Looks like it's time to make another call. We need to swing around to where we can get... There we go. We need the phone. Hopefully they're still open and they can make sense of this receipt. Good evening. Bookgator on 2nd. What can I do for you? Oh, looks like we had a spam bot detected and deleted. Of course, the local bookstore. How could I forget? Sir, did you need help with something? Hello, yes, sorry. I do, actually. This might be an odd question, but I have a receipt, and I'm not sure what it was that I purchased. I've been expecting your call, detective. Of course you were. Care to explain why? You stumbled in, disgruntled after an argument, with this devious plan. I didn't ask questions, but you warned me this call was likely. Oh dear. Now, about that book. Please tell me it's not something terribly inappropriate. Ha! Not quite, no. The book's title is On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. Okay, thank you. That'll be all. Sure you don't need anything else, detective? No, really. It's okay. Thank you. Click. As if I wasn't embarrassed enough as it is. Alright, so we got told a book title, and when we looked at the bookshelf earlier, it said we needed more information before trying to sort through all the books. So now we have a book title. Fact with different. The clerk said the book in question had something to do with cat burglary. So where is it? Dignity and Domestication by the Great Dame Austen. Les Miserables by Vermin Hugo. Call of the Wild by Jack London. Okay, more novels than I thought, but hey, these are classics. Oh, here's the one I'm looking for. The question now is, why would I have purchased this book specifically? Is there something over here to investigate? Okay, so there we go. And let's look at X, which is where we have after returning. Latest plot, log in. Got into an intellectual argument with another patron and vowed to prove he was, confusingly, a detective so spectacular he could out-sleuth himself. Okay. And then that's where we just were. Okay, I found the book I apparently purchased. Even the store clerk. Oh yeah, I can look in the evidence locker. Now we have the book. Its title, On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. It's a dissertation I apparently purchased from the local bookstore, then stashed within the various other tomes on my office bookshelf. The subject matter seems fairly heavy. Deriving any clues from it may be a challenge. Was that why I chose this strange pursuit? To out-detective myself? On the historical, we have a cat face. Study of the impact of decline as an early cultural normality and the societal repercussions thereof and henceforth. Open. Great job, detective. Yay. Oh, of course. I knew there was something else here. I bought a hollow trick book. No wonder the bookstore clerk was holding back a laugh. With my cabinet key hidden inside, I think we're nearing the end of this case. Good thing the trains will still be running for a little longer. I've got the key now, so let's get this locked cabinet open up and see what we find. There's a note right on top. A great change of pace, or maybe I was just getting lazy. Doesn't seem to be any cipher or code either. This just looks like a normal password. I should try it and make sure all my notes are in order. I wouldn't want to attract any more ire from the department manager than I already have. Okay. Computer. I should have been reading that. It works. I'm logged in and I have exactly 0 emails that require my attention. It's a relief, of course, but the department manager will have my fur if I don't get the rest of these case notes in order before I go home. Let's see, what should I look at? We don't need to look at any of that. We need to go to our case notes. Okay, unbeknownst to the detective changed the password to his computer and hid it inside a... I hid it in a filing cabinet. I'm gonna put book, cause that's the only thing that... Actually, let's see. We might have to go over here. Okay. We have to look at this before it'll show up over there. Detective changes login information. No, I don't think that's right. Share my memory, but I must have found something that can set that right by now. Okay. Of course, the reason for the entire mystery locked up tight in a lone filing cabinet. Okay. Now we should have all of the words that we need in here. Unbeknownst to the detective changed the password. It says it's close. Oh, this section is close. So it's gonna hit it inside. Well, it was hid inside a filing cabinet. Still is cabinet. There we go. It's considered a location. Unbeknownst to the detective changed the password to his computer and hid it inside a cabinet, which is right. Furthermore, he hid the key to the cabinet. Oh, that's considered a location. Inside a book. That the detective recently purchased. Okay, that section is correct. So this part is not. And hid it inside. He changed the password to his computer. That part's right. And locked it inside a cabinet. There we go. Aha! I knew I was onto something. It's very silly. I got an achievement. Well, a fantastic treat. A night out at the milk bar might cause me more trouble than it's worth. Oh, why is the phone ringing? Could it be the manager already? Come on, I was thinking A. Let's see, what should I take a look at? The phone. Hello, Feline Forensics Private Detective. I'm glad to hear you're running the midnight oil. Commissioner? To what do I owe the pleasure? Business, not pleasure. There's been an incident. Private property. They asked for you. I'm sending a cruiser. The officer will fill you in on the way. The case seems pretty involved, but it's still within my jurisdiction. You will go by the book, detective. I'm sure you're aware that if you don't, your license will be on the line. Again. Click. What a ray of sunshine the commissioner is these days. It's going to be an even later night than I thought. And the door opened on its own. Oh no. The officer's a duck. Evening, officer. What are we looking at this time? I'm not gonna try to do a duck voice. Well, not like Donald Duck or something. Of course, even in Disney, Donald Duck is the only duck that talks like that. Oh, detective, no need to be so formal. Although, we are headed to a pretty fancy museum, so maybe I spoke too soon. Onk. The one on the east side of town? What happened? Sounds like an attempted heist gone sideways. Nobody was able to flee the scene, but an important exhibit has gone missing. Not sure if it was one of the thieves, another visitor, or staff member, but they said somebody might have been shot in the process. Oh dear, I hope things have been kept under control since. They made it seem like the scenario was contained, but you'll have to make that call yourself. I don't know much more than that, but we'll be there soon. And here we are. Told you it wouldn't take long. Always a pleasure. Wish me luck. I have a feeling this is going to be a long night. Good luck, Detective. I'm sure everything will go just fine. And I know you like to work alone, but if you need some help from the department, just give us a call on that payphone over there. We'll see if that's necessary. For now, it's time to get to work. This is tapping his foot. Got the payphone. The sign for the museum, with its namesake, Kreinberg, and the official logo illuminated by a few small spotlights. No one would have suspected a heist turned murder. Well, I guess it could be a murder turned heist. These are the kinds of questions I'll need to answer with my expert feline sleuthing skill. Look! Square trees! It's Minecraft! Ha! The plaque reads, Honk! The Herald Angel, by an unknown artist. A wonderful, timeless depiction of Mother Goose's agents of peace. I guess that was a goose, not a duck. That said, the biblically accurate sculptures are more compelling. See if there's any place else that has a thing. Well, at least hit the thing over here. I guess I could. Yeah, I don't want to give them a call though. How do I exit? I can't forget to expenses charged though. Payphones aren't getting any cheaper these days. I was hoping I could just look to see if there was choices. It's making me actually call. Detective, hope the case is coming along smoothly. What can I do for you? Actually, on second thought, I don't have anything at the moment. Not really sure why I called. Sorry about that. Pretty quiet over here at the precinct, so don't worry about it. Talk to you later. Oh, back to it, I guess. Okay. So now I know. Don't hit the phone until I actually have something to call about. Yay, we're going in. Ah, Detective. Thank goodness you've finally arrived. I'm the curator of this museum, and the one that called the police. Thank you for coming on such short notice. For crime, there's no such thing as short notice, and a detective must always be prepared to put a stop to it. Yes. Well, please work with the utmost efficiency. A catastrophe of this scale would be a disaster. If word got out that our most precious gemstone was stolen, who knows what would happen? Not only would the museum's reputation be forever marred, we could be the target of even more horrid criminals. The ad break is ending. Pretty much all we're doing was talking to the curator of the museum, being told that there was a gem stolen and it could harm the museum's reputation and make them a target for even more criminals because it would make them look like easy pickings. Ario is hydrating. Alright. You're understandably concerned, but I assure you, I'll sort this out. This is far from my first case. Although, if my debrief was accurate, there was also an unfortunate murder in the process. Is that right? Yes, that punk. I just hate to even think about it. I suppose you should take care of that as well. But in my opinion, the sooner we get the innocent people home, the better. A rushed investigation leads to sloppy work, so I can't promise this will be quick or easy. Regardless, I trust you will do your best, and if you could keep me posted on your progress, It would be greatly appreciated. Of course. I have several things to discuss, if we could. Personal questions about today's events. Let's start with today's events. Go on, then. Yes. What were you doing? During operating hours, I don't do much except greet visitors, and today was no exception. On days when we're particularly busy, I may mingle and let the guard stand station, but that wasn't the case today. Up until the argument began upstairs, nothing seemed out of place. The guard and I were here having an idle chat. Unfortunate that it couldn't stay that way. Could I ask a few more questions then? I would expect nothing less. Certainly. What happened? Let's see. The guard and I heard an argument beginning upstairs, but it wasn't an immediate concern to me. I didn't want him to make a scene, but it continued to heat up on its own. Then we heard the gunshot moments later. Even with the accompanied sound of broken glass, my instinct was to make sure the guide was safe. I thought she was in the sculpture gallery, but the guard found her in antiquities, stunned. He called for me and I ran right over. And it was true. She was frozen solid, startled by the cacophonous noise. The guard was concerned, of course, but took off toward the blaring alarm. Despite the chaos of it all, I maintained my focus on her. Eventually, I got through. And do you know the first thing she said to me, Detective? Call the police. Immediately looking out for the museum. So selfless, to a fault. I went back to the foyer to do just that, but the tourist and the artist were there, begging that I release the lockdown. I didn't know who was responsible for this mess, so I brushed them off without much opposition and made the call. I see. Let's move on to another topic then. I would expect nothing less. Okay, now ask away, Detective. Who are you? As I said before, I'm the purveyor of this prestigious museum. Past that, there isn't much to disclose. Do you have any associations outside your work here? Family, perhaps? Is this vital to solving our case, Detective? Otherwise, I do request that you inquire no further. It certainly could be, depending on how it continues to unfold. Fine. I do have a family, and I'm currently separated from them over personal matters. And I can assure you they have nothing to do with the stolen gemstone or the murder, unless you'd like to interrogate them unnecessarily as well. As always, I appreciate the cooperation. Let's move on. I would expect nothing less. Is there any more? What do you do? I manage the museum's staff, exhibitions, publicity, funding, and, well, just about everything. Wouldn't it be easier to delegate some of that work? Well, you see, we simply don't have the extra revenue to accommodate that. While incredibly valuable to the human condition, a museum of this caliber is hardly ever profitable. Oh, my apologies if this is a sore subject. I simply don't enjoy the idea that one would look at what we do here and assume it's all that easy. It requires hard work and sacrifice, Detective. It's not a sore subject, it's a harsh reality. Of course, again, my sincerest apologies. Let's get to another question. About the museum. Alright, let me provide you a brief overview of the layout so you know what you're dealing with. Currently, we're standing in the museum's foyer, which has the only exterior doorway. In the east wing, we have the sculpture gallery featuring contemporary works. On the west side is where we display works of natural history with geological and pre-civilization origins. The central connecting exhibit is the courtyard just to the north of us now. Further north, we have antiquities, host to several artifacts and art pieces spanning global cultures and eras. On the second floor, there is only one unique gallery, fine art, typically canvas. Of course, as you investigate, you'll notice there are balconies that look down into a few of the first floor exhibits as well. I hope that's helpful, Detective. but you can always reference the brochure map if you get lost somehow. Very helpful, thank you. Do you mind if I ask a couple more questions before? I expect nothing less. The only thing I have left is the actually, and we know that takes us back to there. Let's talk to the bear. Hey, hold it right there. Did you pay admission when you came in? Oh, Ha! Got you good, didn't I? Little security joke is all. Always good to meet another agent of Lady Justice, Detective. What can I do for you? I'm hoping... Oh, I hit the button too quick. Oh, absolutely. Anything you need at the drop of a hat. Just by answering a few questions for now. I need to be clear that even as the museum guard, you aren't exonerated here. Of course. I wouldn't have it any other way. Not only am I loyal to the law, I'm loyal to this museum. And the wrongs against it must be righted. Let's start with a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. Today's events. You've got the green to go ahead, Detective. What were you doing? As per usual, I was hanging around the foyer having a little chat with the curator. When things are especially slow, I might take a walk around the exhibits or get some fresh air. But I was feeling a little more lazy today. Oh boy, that doesn't sound too good, does it? And I hit the button again. Thing is, nothing seemed weird. It was a totally normal morning, afternoon, and evening. I understand. So, none of the guests acted strangely? We get all walks of life, and I do my best not to judge one way or another, eh? So nah, not much. And all things considered, this feels like poor circumstance to me. I see. Interesting. Why don't we discuss some more then? Absolutely. I'm an open book, and full of pictures. What happened? Oh dear, where do I begin? The curator and I heard an argument upstairs. I was ready to go and defuse the situation, but the curator was hoping it would solve itself. I don't quite understand it, but in my experience, artists tend to hold strong opinions, so I trusted the curator's judgment call for a moment. But I made my way over into the courtyard when it heated up. The fight was upstairs, though, so I just had to keep moving through. A few moments later, a gunshot shattered glass soon after, and I didn't skip a beat. Some habits die hard, I guess. Well, I got to Antiquities and found the guide, stopped in her tracks. Maybe I should have kept moving, but I had to make sure she was okay. It's admirable at the very least. I'm sure she appreciated it. You're probably right, but I wasn't actually much help. Nothing I could say had her come to. I called for the curator since there was still the matter of whatever went down in natural history. I got there at about the same time as the podcaster, so she knew just as much as I did, and that wasn't much. The display case was already destroyed, so to save the diamond or the victim, I was too slow. Again. If there was anything left to do, it was call the police. Thankfully, the curator was already on the line, and things had mostly calmed down by then. I appreciate the thorough recollection. Let's move on to something else. See, was there anything else? Okay. Awaiting orders. Additional details about the alarm. Oh yeah, well, you see, the amazing thing is that it's really smart. It can tell who's who and do what it's got to do. Real accurate, too. Certainly there's some downside to it, no? Ah, nail on the head, Detective. When it was installed, they told us it was a little slow. It doesn't make mistakes, because for a computer, it takes its time. Although for a person like you or me, it's still pretty dang fast. Just has to, I don't know, double check, I guess. Has a way of being selective, only locking down what's necessary, trying to minimize panic in a chaotic situation. Come to think of it, the actual sound of the alarm was supposed to be one of the more severe stages of lockdown. The old guy who used to work on it could tell you more, but we've never seen it in action before today. Maybe try asking the curator. I think I will, but until then, I have a few other things to discuss. And for good, buddy. Not much to brag about in that department, Detective. But what do you do in your free time? I like to keep up with various TV shows and movies, but don't we all? It's not very interesting. I read a whole bunch too. Talk about boring. I don't think that's boring. Honestly, I wish I had time for more of that kind of thing. I used to say the same thing, believe it or not. But if you don't make time to enjoy things, there won't be much of you left. Just a couple of whiskers in a suit. I mean, let's stay on topic. Do you have any family, friends? A couple buddies from back in the day. I started feeling like we were worlds apart, you know? Wife at home, but no kids. She had some great friends, longtime friends, and they call me friend. I'm alright with that. I understand. Let's continue on. What do you do? I keep the peace within these marble walls. A much more manageable scale than I'm sure you deal with, Detective. On the regular, sure, but for tonight, we have that in common. Ah, you got that right. As far as my day-to-day is concerned, we don't really get much commotion around here. Was there a time when disturbances were more typical? No, I guess not, but we had more people around overall, you see. Hey, if all else fails, maybe this whole debacle will get the museum some attention again. That'd really be something, huh? I suppose anything's possible. Why don't we discuss something else? Alright. I believe that's it. 10-4. What did you do before? I worked as a policeman for a while, but not as long as was expected at the time. You certainly don't look like you've reached retirement age. Young for retirement, sure, but not that young. Most folks stay in the field for a long time. Wasn't for me, though. I grew up with police dramas. I was big enough to deal with bullies, but the concept of bullies is a bit more difficult when you're an adult. Nail on the head, Detective. Don't get me wrong. There were times when it was very clear. Just not always. Even instances that were clear in the beginning became murky down the road, or in retrospect. Eventually parting ways with the force seemed like the best decision. I came to that conclusion sometime later. By that you mean it wasn't entirely your choice? Highly encouraged choice, perhaps. A tale that isn't too uncommon, I think. Could we discuss something else? Actually, we've asked all the questions. Okay, so where did they say Antiquities was? The Black reads Calf with a Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeerkat. You'd think the large ears would be distracting, but the earring still really draws the eye. The plaque reads Vase with 15 Sunflowers by Vincent van Giraffe. To think that he would go so far as to cut off one of his own ossicons? I think that might be the little pointy thing, the little thing on the top of a giraffe's head. If only he knew how prolific his art would become. The plaque reads Semi-Colored Vase by I Wee Wee. Do you think he dipped the vase in paint or just drizzled it on top? You know, I should have eaten before arriving to the scene. The plaque reads The Sheaf by Henri McFleece. I'm going to assume a sheaf is some sort of shrubbery, at the very least a leafy plant of some kind. Looks pretty enough. The plaque reads Gray on Blue by Mark Ratko. The deeper meaning of this one is beyond me, but in a good way. If you say so. Plaque reads Nighthawks by Edward Hopper. What I would give to sit alone at the dustiest bar in town, just staring at a half-empty glass of the finest aged milk. Wouldn't aged milk be cheese? So that's got some churning, I guess. Okay, so this way. Courtyard exhibit. So let's see, let's check off some of this stuff. Pause for alarm. While discussing the stolen jewel with the guard, he mentioned state-of-the-art security system. While circumstantially poor, he was glad to know that it actually worked. The missing gemstone. Curator's primary and only concern was identifying culprit behind the attempted heist of the incredibly valuable diamond from the museum's natural history exhibit. Apparently, the museum is equipped with a state-of-the-art security system, which would likely provide more concrete information. Goes without saying, but I should probably start with investigating the actual crime scene. Is there any way I could access the security system's data? Maybe not, but it's worth looking into. Murdered guest. The investigation along this lead should begin with the actual crime scene. As always, I hope it isn't too gruesome. Alongside the attempted heist, there was an apparent murder that took place. It didn't seem like the curator's primary concern, but it obviously can't be ignored. Upon entering the museum, I was greeted by the curator, gave me an overview of the incident that occurred. The museum has only one person on their security detail, the guard, whose jovial nature is quite disarming. Should inquire with them for more specific detail, but I also need to speak with everyone who is present. Alright. Okay. Oh yeah, this one. We have nothing. Curator, here we go. Sell off the rare gemstone in an insurance fraud or embezzlement scheme? Prior to the incident, they were welcoming guests into the museum alongside the guard. When an argument began upstairs, they told the guard not to make a scene and let it handle itself. Although when it escalated far enough that a gun was fired, they ran from the foyer. The curator went to check on the guide in the sculpture exhibit. The guide wasn't there. The guards had found her in antiquities, stunned and unmoving, and called for the curator to come quick. Their efforts to get the guide to come to weren't working, but when the alarm sounded, the guide snapped to and told them to call the authorities immediately. The curator rushed back into the foyer while the tourists and the artist insisted they release the museum's lockdown. Without knowing who is a real culprit, the curator refused to let anyone leave and called the authorities to come sort it out. Oops, wrong way. The guard. Create an unsolvable mystery. A perfect crime to promote the museum. Yeah, I don't know about that. Prior to the incident, they were welcoming guests into the museum and charging admission alongside curator. When an argument began, he was told by let it handle itself. Gunshot was heard. He stormed off into and through the courtyard towards the shocking sound. Antiquities exhibit, he discovered the guide was locked in place, called for curator. Began to continue his pursuit. The sound of glass shattering and a museum's alarm diverted him. Arrived to the exhibit same time as the podcaster, who didn't seem to know much about what happened. No clear danger still present. He moved back into the foyer to call the authorities and found a curator who had already done so. And we've got all the suspects there. We've only met 2 of them. Alright, so that's the way I came in. We have more paintings to look at. American Dairy by Grant Woodpecker. As a city-dwelling feline, I never fancied the life of a barn cat, and considering the expression on their faces, I'm not missing much. Ooh, there's blood. The plaque reads Le Pon by Edward Degas. Wow, they can really dance. Nothing about the blood. Okay. The plaque reads Composition 7 by Vasily Kangurinsky. The only artist that can perfectly capture the mystique of a grand piano falling from the window onto a sidewalk. Yep, that looks about like what happened. Why am I just ignoring all this blood? Plaque reads The Tower of Blatel by Peter Brugot. Mother Goose may have struck the tower as it reached the sky, and yet upon our earthly wings we fly. Okay. Here we go. Another shocking aspect of the case unfolding in front of us. This is where the blood trail begins, considering the impact on the wall. This is where the two guests spot that impact is a likely result, and with enough force that would explain the crooked painting. Whatever happened, it is clear the conflict continued onward, but I'll have to keep investigating to learn more. The plaque reads, The Hatching of Venus by Sandro Bonobocelli. The legend says she was born from a giant scallop shell, but for avian folk, I suppose that's not terribly far off from the typical egg. The plaque reads 2 Deers with Me by Frida Kahlo. I never knew deer folk could do something like this anatomically. Wait, it's symbolic. That's on me. The plaque reads The Mara Lisa by Leonardo da Viper. I don't want a promise. I want Arsene Lupus here as a prisoner with handcuffs on him in a week. I love that old movie. One of the few our feline family had, and I loved every minute of it. Okay. Ad break is starting soon. Let's spin around. Plaque reads Wolf Above the Sea Fog by Caspar Darwin Frogrich. Such a mysterious figure. What is he contemplating? What tortures his melodramatic soul? I long to know. Plaque reads Merlinix Diptych by Andy Warthog. My mom was always such a fan of Merlinix. On special occasions, she would even get spots painted into her fur. Alright, and that's the way we came in. Oh, here we go. The plaque reads The Creation of Fido by Michael Flamingolo. Considering the artist could fly, the chapel paintings he did are a bit less impressive. I don't know why the lighting is changing. Okay. Oh, there's one more painting. Plaque reads Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bear by Gustav Klimt. Oh gosh, this one kind of hurts my eyes. Okay, so let's go where the blood was going. Ads are starting. Okay. I guess those other magnifying glasses are downstairs. This is clearly important to our case. What should I investigate? We gotta check all the placards. Visit Cheruboy statue circa 1300. Another victim in this odd culmination of crimes, unfortunately. The blood trail leads here and over the edge of the balcony. It's dashed across the exhibit podium as well. The podium looks like it's been pushed askew as well, and the art piece is missing. Stanchions are unlatched, presumably by force, considering the perilous angle. The victim is visible, lying on the floor below. They were likely disoriented and stumbled backwards to their demise. That's all there is to find here, for now at least. Let's check what we've got here. Let's see if any of this stuff is different. Ad break is finishing. We've just got some groovy jazz going on. The plaque reads Tylosaurus skeleton of the Cretaceous period. Because of terrifying creatures like this that I'll never get into the ocean. No, it's not about the water, so don't even ask. Plaque reads Taurus figurine discovered in Northern Europe and Asia. Am I blushing? I feel like I'm blushing. That's pretty cool. Our solar system, for illustrative purposes only, not to scale. If this really was built to scale, Jupiter would probably be on the other side of town. Way past my office, I bet. Ceraduct has been witness to some pivotal moments of the evening, huh? Okay. Plaque reads Emoid fossil discovered in Northern Europe. Ah yes, the golden ratio. Fibonacci sequence, logarithmic spiral, Lord helix, a universal constant immortalized in stone. See what we've got in the Y. Okay. I don't know if I want to start trying to put all that stuff in here. Yeah, we're not gonna worry about that quite yet. Okay, can we get down there? Okay, there's gotta be a way to get down there. So here. Oh, look, there's somebody there. And we have... Okay, there's all the artwork I already looked at, and I was in here. Oop. Oh, it was the triggers to run. That's right. Hello? Yes, hello. I'm the... Yeah, I know who you are. Fantastic. Let's get started. Well, I'm waiting on you. Get started! Then I'll finally get to go home. Standing on these floors is killer on an old-timer like me. There's a bench just over there if you... I don't need a seat. You think I need some handout from you? Don't you know who I am? I don't mean to offend, I just... Look, detective, get to the interrogation or whatever you have to do, so I can get out of here. Fine, yes, a wonderful idea. Let's do just that. How much longer is this gonna take? Yeah, get on with it. Am I outspoken, detective? Are you answering my question with a question? The answer is no. I'm resolute. Firm in my opinions because I know they're correct. I still have yet to see how this answer... There I was, with the critic. We were looking over the various pieces in the sculpture gallery. The critic wanted to discuss with the guide, so I let them be. Made my way upstairs into fine art. That's when I saw him. All these disgraceful misuses of canvas, and the punk that followed soon after looking for a fight. He must have seen me wrinkle my nose at some painting, and well, he didn't know what tree he was barking up. And what tree was that? An old wizened willow, detective. One that weeps for the way things used to be. Intriguing, to say the least. I believe I have some more questions, then. How much longer is this gonna take? Of course, I remember like it was yesterday. But of course, because it was today. Ha! Gotcha, didn't I? In fact, it was about an hour ago. How could I forget that? I'm old, but I ain't that old. That punk wanted to yank my tail, but when I barked back, he must have got scared. Pulled a gun on me. I always knew I had some bite left, but we got into a real scuffle. Took us out into the courtyard balcony. Threw me into a wall. I swung back at him. He tried to take me out, but his aim was bad. Must have been new to it, too. The kickback gave me a chance to disarm him, and then he ran off. Critic came to check on me soon after. I told him I was fine, unscathed, in fact. Then the alarm went off. I didn't have anything to do with that. Well, I'm glad you're all right. Let's discuss something else. How much longer is this gonna take? I didn't arrow down enough before hitting the button. I'm simply double-checking my notes, that's all. Well, your notes should say one thing, and one thing only. I was defending myself, and the rest is assumed. The punk, the gun, and it went off. He ran away. I collected myself, and the alarm went off shortly after. That's everything. Right, how could I forget? Let's move on. Okay, personal questions. Is this some kind of interview? You really have to ask, don't you? Tells me everything I need to know about you, detective. Well, in this case, I'm the one who needs to know. So why don't you answer the question anyway? I'm a retiree of the art world, from back when folks respected art. I saw success beyond my wildest dreams. I was in galleries, exhibitions, auctions for the rates higher than you or your kittens would see an entire lifetime. The point is, I was at the top. I wasn't making way for nobody. You had to be cutthroat back then. Don't even get me started on all this crowdfunding. Sir, I don't think... For what reason did you step down from such a high pedestal? Couldn't keep up. Is that what you want to hear? My hand started going first. And then, well... I quit while I was ahead. I see. Well, it's not... Let's change the topic. How much longer is this gonna take? What do you do? What kind of question is that? Are you one of them half-rate gumshoes detectives? That's an offense too. In my advanced age, I don't do much of anything, and with my advanced wealth, I don't have to. That's what it means to be retired, not that you would know. I might do some consulting from time to time, or attend an event, but all that chase and tail, that's for the young pups. After everything I've given to the art world, I keep on giving. What do you think about that, huh? Good for you. You wouldn't get it. So maybe start asking some questions with answers you can actually use. What a fantastic idea. Let's do just that. What about it? Despite a few amateur missteps, it's a respectable institution. And what would you consider a misstep? Don't get me started on how much modern garbage they have on display these days. I understand art can't be entirely without business. There are lines you just don't cross. And betraying the greats by hanging their most prestigious pieces next to these finger painters, that's across the line. Did you ever have any of your pieces on display here in the museum? That's a leading question, detective. Don't believe for a second I don't see what you're trying to do. You must know, even at my peak, no. The curator refused to exhibit any of my works. I had plenty of other exhibitions, and we've always been on good terms. I don't hold it against them. So don't leave this conversation think I've got some sort of vendetta. That would be a ridiculous notion, wouldn't it? Maybe I should ask a different question instead. I think I've already asked everything. Yep, we're done here. Ooh, this is pretty. And I'm just gonna let y'all read that while I take a drink of water. Apparently it's part of a collection. The Black reads Man's Best Buddies by Keith Haring. Look at the two normal friends with no implications at all. Yeah, right. I need to have catnip for brains to think of something that outrageous. We're going to talk to him in a bit. Mostly Gray Canna by Georgia O'Beef. Something about this seems mildly inappropriate. Somebody lost a balloon. Love is in the litter. Art isn't in the paper or the paint. The little shredder inside the frame, I think. Composition with dark gray, lighter gray, white, and yellow. Some argue that this, in its simplicity, isn't real art. And I am not some people. Based on Sunday in the Park with George. Or Sunday in the Park. Sunday in the Park with George was the name of the movie that I saw about it in my art humanities class. Yeah. George Seurat. The plaque reads a Sunday afternoon on the island of La Vallée by Georges Chiba. You just don't see this level of decorum these days. Not since... Okay. The Water Lily Pond by Claude Monet reminds me of my days of the kitten when love was in the air. Oh, how I miss you. Head of a Sheep by Pablo Picasso. The dichotomy of Ram and you inside us all. It's exquisite. Okay. We need to get back over... Oh, did I look at this one? Temptation of Saint Bernard by Salvador Cali. What is it about the very tall elephants potentially stomping on him that was so tempting for Saint Bernard? Actually, I think I get it. Really? I don't know. Okay. Swing around so I can go this way and talk to this person. It's probably the critic. I say, what matter of drab fashion is approaching me? I'm the detective sent to investigate the series of unfortunate events. Heavens! You should speak to your department about acquiring better uniforms. This is not a uniform. It's just one of my suits. Are you to imply that these are your actual clothes that you purchased with money willingly? I would appreciate if we could get to the questioning now, please. Oh, relax. I'm a bit of a critic, but I'll do my best not to get in your way. I'll likely take a few jabs at you, though. How could I not with those shoulder pads? What? But no, seriously, I'm on your side here. Don't worry about it. You know, let's just get started, shall we? If you must, don't let me stop you. I'll give you this one for free, detective. As you do in a museum, I was taking my jolly good time looking over the many exhibits alongside the old-timer. When we made our way into the sculpture gallery, I decided to strike up a conversation with the guide. Of course, I can't resist an expert discussion. The old-timer has far less patience for that sort of gallivanting, so he took off upstairs. Perhaps I shouldn't have let him go off on his own. I don't know what it was they argued about, but it must have struck a nerve. I think that's when our evening started to go south. Is that so? I've got more questions then. If you must, don't let me stop you. What happened? There isn't much for me to say on the topic, but I suppose it began with the old-timer's argument upstairs. It sounded like he was in the fine art gallery. I started moving that way, but when I was just about there, I heard a blunt slam. I had hoped the argument didn't turn violent, but I was quickly losing faith in that theory. Before I knew it, there was a wretched bang. A gunshot, with glass shattering not long after. I was concerned for the well-being of the old-timer, so I continued outward towards the balcony after him. But by then, the brawl had concluded. The old-timer was clearly worn out. He was breathing heavily, had a couple of scrapes, but he seemed okay. I shuffled him back into the fine art gallery and tried to ignore the rest of the cacophony below. It calmed down soon after, and now you're here. Yes, here I am. Why don't we continue with that investigation, shall we? If you must, don't let me stop you. I've taken down both your... Oh, sorry, wrong character. I've taken down both of your testimonies, but there's a specific detail that just doesn't line up. The old-timer claimed he came away from the brawl entirely unscathed, but that's not accurate to your remarks. Why? This might be the easiest explanation you received today, Detective. Are you familiar with fragile masculinity? We've known each other for a long, long time. And when I say he's improved, I mean it. But there are things that still get under his fur. Whether this helps or hinders your perception of his motives, I doubt he even second-guessed a lie like that. You speak as if you know him quite well. Intimately, some would say. Understood. I think I have some other inquiries to make before I move on. Personal questions. Usually I charge for this sort of service. I'm a collector. I'm a connoisseur. Some would call me a cultural innovator. But that title is just far too garish. Even it is entirely true. And this is what brought you to the museum today? There are wonderful pieces here that I would love to call my own, but no, I'm not making any purchases. My accountant wouldn't like that very much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but exhibits at a museum aren't usually for sale. Ah. Spoken like a true member of the middle class. Everything is for sale when you have enough money. Am I to assume this applies to you? I've written for the most prestigious organizations. These scales have rubbed against the best of them. You should consider yourself blessed. I'm not more offended that you would even ask who I am. Why don't I ask a different question instead? If you must, don't let me stop you. Do you have a family? A traditional family? No, but I have someone close to me, if that's what you mean. Would you not consider them family? I would. But that partnership was founded in a different time, and unfortunately there are still many similarities between now and then. Besides, when you become larger than yourself and people believe you are only how they sculpted you, there's a lot to lose if you betray their perception. If I'm to interpret your meaning, isn't the artistic industry quite progressive? For an artist at his easel, yes. For a writer at her typewriter, yes. For a musician with their instrument, yes. But for any of them with a need to live, to eat, to succeed, they must be ruled by money. And the people with money far above even my station, they do not understand the meaning of progress. So no, I suppose I don't have much family. Most of us can't afford to. I'm sorry to hear that. Would you mind if I asked another question? If you must. About the museum. Why did you decide to visit it today? Oh, the curator practically begged me to come and write about it in one of my columns. I visited here before, many years ago, and the article I wrote back then was an unbelievable success. Although, considering the terrible fate before us, I don't know that anything I write will speak highly enough. You mean the murder-turned-museum heist? Is that it? Ha! No, detective. I'm talking about irrelevancy. And worse yet, the curator has resorted to committing the cardinal sin. The display of counterfeit art is just painful. What do you mean? That would be quite the accusation. They're duplicates. Simple as that. How else could one acquire such a diverse catalog? In fact, I already noticed 2. And well, when there's 2, there must be a third. That's just proper writing, detective. Right, well then, let's carry on, yes? If you must. Alright, that's all the questions for them. Let's see. Did I come in? Oh no, this is downstairs. I'll be able to see all those magnifying glasses. Oh. I accidentally went back up, I guess. Okay, there we go. Antiquities. This is where the guide was. Sarcophagus of Mutant Common, circa 1325 BC. Despite youngest puppy Pharaoh, he was still a big cat fan. Who could blame him? Okay, there's another person to question, but we're going to look at some of the exhibits. Statue of a small Horus, circa 3000. Classic depiction of my favorite avian god. Just very tiny. He's little tiny. Plaque reads ceremonial masks, circa 1880. It's nice to see the representation. It does beg the question of why all these cultural moments are stuck in the Philadelphian Museum. Because that's what museums have. Plaque reads rug of crystal trading post, entirely handmade, still so intricate, a real artistic marvel. Okay. Apofola Belvedere depicts him as a horse, a classic example trying to erase his true Oxen heritage. Ooh. There we go. I'm not very good at the controls with the camera that swings around. Plaque reads terracotta tigers, one warrior immortalized in clay, but historians believe over 8,000 exists. I watched a documentary that was very educational until they said they'd wake up and take over the planet for their alien overlords. Yeah, that's the theory of the terracotta warriors, or one of them. That looks cool. Rabbits of the court in the garden, circa 1700. It's like I can hear the cicadas buzzing all around me, and the clinking of that little bamboo fountain thing, too. Let's get a better look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's see this vase, or vase. Corinthian black-spotted pottery. Greeks truly had a way of life. Very smelly, I'm sure, but also very sophisticated. Nataraja, circa 900. I remembered visiting some distant family when I was a kitten. Ad break is starting soon. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Okay. We're back to the beginning, so let's go ahead and talk to the frog. Greetings. Hello, I'm the detective tending to this case. I'm aware of this. You're from Feline Forensics. Yes, I am. Good, you're familiar. Do you mind? You may ask me a few questions, that is. First of all, how did you know about me? Was it the tie? I tried to go with something more neutral. Professional. Insightful, even. Maybe it's my suit. Shoulders are very padded. Is it the suit? Too private eye? It was not the tie, detective. So, it was the suit. It was also not the suit. I'm just aware of you, generally speaking. Good marketing, perhaps. And besides, I simply prefer to be aware. An artist must observe the world. I hope that proves useful. Let us begin. Oh, I hope that proves useful. Let's begin. Whatever it takes, detective. Yeah, let's start with the personal questions this time. Who are you? I regret to inform you, detective. Who I am is not important. I am unimportant. In the grand schemes of things, as it pertains to the situation around us, those details will not bring you closer to case closed. Then why don't you humor me, as if I were asking as a stranger, not the detective? I'm a washed-up failure of a creative amphibian. As soon as I had hands, my parents couldn't keep enough paper in the house. I hoarded every marker and paint I could find. Clay was my best friend. My imagination was insatiable, so I didn't have time for anyone or anything else. That doesn't sound like a failure to me. Insatiable may beget experience, but it does not equate to talent. Is that sufficient answer, detective? Indeed. I hope you don't mind answering some other questions for me. The ad break is starting. Whatever it takes, detective. What do you do? I can't help but hear Lucy Darling's voice in my head when I'm reading these. Since my art career became an artifact of the past, I've found myself in several professions. Nowadays, I work under a contract agency. They have me doing temporary work placements. Venue placements are undesirable, unfortunately, but it pays the bills and I can keep a fair bit of time to myself. Do you still create art in that time? Yes, but I don't believe I could ever truly give it up, but inspiration strikes less frequently. That's why I've decided to come to the museum today. And did you find something inspiring? I believe I have, but time will tell. Paint must dry, as they say. They do say that, don't they? On to the next question, then. About all that paint. As I'm sure you're aware, but why are you so covered in it? This is my favorite coat. Are you suggesting that just because I got some paint on it, suddenly it means it can no longer be a coat? It was a bit cold today. I need to wear a coat. I'm not warm-blooded, detective. Do you want me to be cold? I didn't say that, no. Besides, it makes the coat more unique. No one in the whole world has this coat but me. I could see the allure in something like that. Would you say you strive to stand out? I think most people do, myself included, and yet I frequently feel invisible. It's as if people just don't see me, even if I'm standing right there. It makes one feel quite lonely, to say the least. Forgotten. My apologies, I believe I've strayed from your inquiry. Don't worry about it, not at all. Shall we discuss another topic? About today's events. I remember them well. What were you doing? I hate to break it to you, but my prior behavior has little impact to the case. I was just wandering around the various exhibits, observing. Shifting around a bit. Specifically, I was counting the bones of those hanging skeletons from the Natural History exhibit's balcony. Then again, I did spend some time on the courtyard balcony as well, mesmerized by the pendulum's colorful sway. Considering my proximity to the fine art gallery, I overheard the argument as it began, and I departed the upper floor. Got that all written down now, so thank you. Allow me to ask another question. What happened? Certainly. I'll begin with the argument. I was nearby and didn't want to get involved. By the time I made it to the lower courtyard, I heard the gunshot. Naturally, I attempted to make my way out of the museum entirely, but the guard came hastily through the room and bumped into me. I eventually got through, made my way to the foyer. Unfortunately, the door was already locked down. I imagine it was a result of the alarm being tripped. The museum has a sophisticated security system, it seems. And there wasn't anyone else around? Initially, no. When the tourist arrived from behind me, I told him we were stuck. Even when the curator came back, they refused to open the door. The tourist passionately opposed their decision, but eventually stood down. We waited in our expected exhibits until you arrived. Thank you for the detailed recount. Let's discuss something else. I like how it grays out the stuff I've already asked. That's helpful. Oops, I didn't read that. That does not surprise me, detective. Don't you remember what I said before? Even with all this paint, people just don't see me. You did say that, huh? I suppose I didn't quite grasp the severity of it. That's not uncommon either, I assure you. If you have any doubts about my honesty in this situation, I can present my perspective in greater detail. I don't think that'll be necessary. Your testimony is entirely plausible, especially considering the frantic nature of tonight's events. I think I'll move on to some other inquiries for now. Okay, that's done. And actually, it's kind of interesting that he was kind of translucent before I went to talk to him. It could just be the way the light was, but I don't think he was that vivid, except for the coat. Here we go. Can I look up? That must be the display that the frog was talking about. Oh, let's take a look at all that stuff. Okay, cause for alarm. Curator's only concerned goes without saying. We don't even know who's murdered yet. Investigations leading with the actual... Taking the old-timer's initial statements, which included arguments and altercations he had with the victim. Okay, so the victim was that punk. In the old-timer's words. They weren't the most forthcoming, so I should assume plenty of details conveniently omitted. I'll need to collect more evidence. Knocked over the stations and crooked exhibits. Victim likely. Okay. Is there anything extra in here? Nope. Snooty and self-indulgent, the critic and the old-timer are quite the duo. It seems they're in attendance together. Although they didn't have much to say, the artist was someone to keep an eye on as this strange situation unfolds. Okay. Okay, let's see, we've got the critic arrived at the museum, intended to write and publish a critique by request of the curator, with the old-timer as a guest. Perspective on the article began discussing the various pieces in the sculpture exhibit with the guide. Overhearing the old-timer in a heated disagreement upstairs, he left the guide to investigate and likely diffuse the situation. Right at the top of the stairs into the fine art gallery, he heard the sound of someone being slammed against a wall. Continued towards the courtyard balcony when a gun was fired with a cacophonous bang. Finally on the scene, it seemed the struggle had just concluded. He rushed to the side of the old-timer to make sure they were okay. Took the old-timer back to the fine art gallery to sit them down and recover before getting their stories straight. The artist... Oh wait, let's see. The critic add the priceless gemstone to his prestigious personal collection. That's potential motive, of course. Revolutionize art by turning a famous museum exhibit into a commentary of capitalism. Prior to the incident, he was counting the bones of various skeletons from the balcony of the natural history exhibit. Afterwards, he went to the courtyard and became memorized watching the colorful swinging pendulum. Argument started fine art. He decided to head downstairs away from the noise. Now in the courtyard's lower level, a gunshot was heard, sending the guard barreling through the room towards the flight upstairs, and continued into the empty foyer in an attempt to leave the now dangerous premises, and found the front door was already on lockdown. Moments later, tourists rushed in, but he informed them that the door was already locked down, leaving them stuck inside. With the alarm blaring and the museum on lockdown, the curator returned to the foyer, called the authorities, and he told them to stand by till they arrived. We looked at the critic, the curator, and the guard. We haven't met the guide yet. The old-timer undermined the museum's reputation and revenge for betraying the golden age of art. Old-timer began their trip to the museum by leisurely looking over the various exhibits with the critic until they decided to start challenging the guide. No interest in the conversation. They went upstairs to the fine art gallery where the punk began to antagonize him with petty comments. He assumed the punk would back down when met with a bit of opposition. When he barked at him, the punk pulled out a gun. Two broke out into a scuffle that took them from the fine art gallery out into the courtyard balcony. Other guests looked on from below. The fight continued to escalate, leading the punk to slam the old-timer into the wall, but he didn't let up. Amidst the struggle, the punk fired the gun, but missed his target. The old-timer then disarmed him with ease. With the punk presumably subdued, the old-timer retreated back to the fine art gallery, where he assured the critic that he was perfectly unharmed. Whew. Sorry for the yawning. So this one has the red circle, which means it needs information. No, I don't think that's right. Doesn't seem like he was contradicting himself here. I don't think he'll own up to it, not without another perspective. Ah, I see. That makes sense. It's no surprise the old-timer would want to keep up his manly image. As we can tell from what the critic told us, even the old-timer was a little shaken following his... Yep. Okay. Alright, and we haven't met the podcaster yet, or the punk, but we have learned a little about the punk. Well, we can't meet the punk now. In the fine art gallery, the punk provoked the old-timer with an incendiary comment about classical art, inciting their argument. When the old-timer pressed the punk further, In an attempt to get him to back off, the punk brandished a gun. A physical altercation then broke out between them, leading them onto the courtyard balcony where the punk slammed the old-timer into the wall. In the continued scuffle, the punk fired his gun but missed his intended target before dropping the weapon as a result of the unexpected recoil. Disoriented, the punk backpedaled towards the balcony of the Natural History exhibit, then fell over the edge. The fall was fatal. We haven't met the student, and we're about to meet the tourist after we look at some other stuff. Plaque reads, On the Essence of Color by Sir Robert Krokstein von Lillipad Dwart IV. A nasty world of noir gray be a crystal of color. Okay, so that must be the prism up above, which we can't rightly see from here. And we just have the fountains and the other. Okay, that's it in here except for talking to this person. Howdy! Howdy doody, Detective Rudy. Hey, Doody. Please call me Detective. I'm the investigator on this case. How are you holding up with all the commotion? Just tippy-topper, Investicopper. A little worried I'm getting behind on my itinerary, but I'll survive. An itinerary? Are you on vacation? You ding-dang bet I am. On a nice long trip like I always wanted to. Just wasn't in the dealer's deck until recent. Call me a regular tourist, 'cause I know you gotta plan every stop. You know what they be saying, Detective. Failing to plan is like planning to have a good time getting lost. Ha ha ha. I think we should get to the topic at hand, don't you? Radio, don't hold back. Hit me with your best shot. Who are you? I've gone by a lot of names, Detective, but what you see is what you get. Just an old free spirit flying through the back half of life. That sounds quite nice, actually. Are you flying with any family? Oh, you really are good at this, huh? You always know what to ask. Of course I got family. A little brother and his sty of piglets. Dear me, does their mother have her hoods full with them. She's practically a sister to me, too. You said you're traveling. Is it difficult to be away from them? It stings the soul, that's for sure. But I try to send a postcard every couple of days, and I've collected far too many souvenirs for him. When our pop would go out on business trips, he'd always bring little baubles back with him. So you know I gotta keep the tradition alive. I'm sure the kids will love that too. Let's move on with something else for now. Radio, don't hold back. Hit me with your best shot. What do you do? Nowadays, not much. I'll do some odd jobs when I get back from this big old vacation, but past that, no more grind for me. That's a fortunate position to find yourself in. How did you manage that? That's a tough one, Cat-Detective. Long story short, my pops was into some particular business, at least until he died. I was a teenager then, and my brother was even younger, so fending for ourselves wasn't much an option. Luckily, Pop's work buddies took us in. When I got a bit older, I took over the operation he left behind. A decade later, we landed a pretty profitable contract, and the rest is history. I see. Did your brother follow along as well? Muddy heavens, no. In fact, that's what kept my eye on the truffle. I didn't want him to get involved. That's admirable. Why don't we talk about something else now? Radio, don't hold back. About this business. Now that's a story, and I bet you don't want me to spare even the tiniest detail. Don't be afraid to abridge slightly if necessary. Ha! I'm just yanking your tail. The thing is, there's not much to say. I was a poor piglet, told to pick himself up from his bootstraps, and I didn't even wear boots. All told, I worked hard, but it was a couple lucky decisions and better company. Right places and left times, you know? I'm nothing if not a storyteller, and a good one at that. But I wouldn't want to put you into a catnap with the details, Detective. No manner of details would be enough to distract from the fact that you refused to answer the question. Or did you truly think I wouldn't realize? Look, Whiskers, simply put, some of those crowds weren't the most savory, but folks with deep pockets. Pops put us into some circumstances, then went off and oinked. Forced me into decisions I don't like having made. All that's important to know now is, well, I got more curls in my tail these days. Wouldn't make those choices again if I had to. I won't press the issue now, but I hope you understand that if I have a reason to suspect its relevance, I won't have much choice. Oh, I get it. Don't sound so stern, Detective. If you think I'm running from something or into another, rest assured, the worst of it already comes with me everywhere. I understand. Let's change topics then. Radio. You want it? You got it. What were you doing? Let me tell you, much of the same I'm doing right now, standing on my own two hooves, gazing at all these colors. At least until the podcaster came on through and started asking about my camera. They called it such an old school vibe. What about it was she interested in? Yeah, I don't know. She was mighty excited. I let her look it over because I don't see much harm in that. I took my eyes off it when the argument upstairs started becoming an issue, but she didn't seem shady or nothing. That's when things really started to kick off. Is that so? Let's discuss further then. What happened? A whole lot, if you ask me. Well, I guess you are asking me, aren't you? Ha! But much of it I wasn't privy to. Those two upstairs were in a bit of a brawl, and one of them shot a gun. Instinctually, I stepped in front of the podcaster, but luckily, I don't think anyone actually got hit. That was when we heard some glass smash in the other room, and the museum's alarm started blaring. Didn't think this sort of thing could still rile me up, but in the moment, I must have been sweating something fierce, like someone splashed my back with a pail of water. I tried to tell the gal to save her own fur, but I don't know, maybe she was more invested than she let on, and I wasn't going to carry her out. When I got to the foyer, the artist was already arguing with the curator about letting us out. I guess the alarm put everything on total lockdown. And I don't blame a single feather on them. They didn't know what was what. They just told us to stand by and wait for the police. Not my favorite gang to deal with, but I sat tight, and that's about all she wrote. Understood, but I think I have more questions. Additional details. Let's dance. How about your camera? Oh, this old thing? It's been my trusty companion for ages. Been through some bumps and bruises, but nothing a good buff can't fix. Had a hearty crash today, didn't we, buddy? Ha! You didn't mention that in your testimony. What happened? Didn't I? I told you to let the podcaster look it over, right? When everything started to go sideways, the gunshot probably spooked her and she dropped it. A real clatter, too. Second biggest of the day, maybe. I don't want to ignore the obvious issue here, so... Oh, sorry. Wrong character. I don't want to ignore the obvious issue here, so... Why do you have a camera in here anyway? Surely the museum's policies would forbid it. Oh, don't worry, Detective. I had it all cleared with the curator. They said it was fine as long as I didn't take any photos. There isn't even any film in here. I guess that makes sense. I think I have a few more talking points if you wouldn't mind. Actually, I don't. They're all gray. It's all done. Okay, so which way did I come in? Okay, that's an exit. Let's go this way. Alright, new person. Oh, I don't want to know, but it's a spider. Plaque reads Mammoth Long Legs by Louise Borgios. Borgios? Even small behind glass, I can feel my fur standing straight up. Gold blindfolded on marble bust by an unknown artist. A man with golden eyes. Is this a reference to that spy thriller? I'm Babond. James Babond. Ah, what a classic. In Pursuit of Wings by an unknown artist. How much of ourselves do we relinquish in pursuit of our desires? Oh, I know this plight well, don't I? Do you? Black reads Vertical Constellation with Blob by Alexander Calamander. I see it. It's a whale. Or it's a lion. Maybe, actually, I don't see anything. Ooh. Black reads Stone Swirl by an unknown artist. I could see why they wanted to be left anonymous. Actually, it looks pretty neat. It looks like a needle with it going through the eye itself, which is pretty deep. Somewhat patterned ceramic squares by Kaiser Sweet Swan. Reminds me of a game I played as a kitten with the timer and the blocks. You know what? Not important. Oh, there's 2 new characters in here. We're gonna look at the pumpkin. Oh. Gourd by Yoyoy Kuswana. Well, I guess it is a gourd. Well, the pumpkin is a gourd. I've never been a big gourd fan. Are they supposed to look this diseased? The plaque reads, Petals of Metal, circa 1900. An old friend from New Pork City has something like this hanging his flat. A bit tacky there, too. Metal Angles by an unknown artist. Looks like they dropped a bunch of cutlery in the garbage disposal, and that is a compliment. Alright, what's with the computer screen? Or TVs? Nostalgia on Cathode by Raytube. On Cathode Raytube by Hayome Zebra. I get that reference. Oh, I know that one too. Wait, and that one! Okay. Looks like a balloon animal here. Let's see. Balloon Dog by Jeff Raccoons. Shouldn't get too close. I was never declawed. Just trying to make sure I see everything. I think I've seen all the exhibits. And now we go talk to the people. Spin around so we can actually see them and not the TVs. Hello? Greetings, I'm the detective from Feline Forensics. Well, don't let me get in your way. I'm actually here for you. What? I'm innocent, I swear. I mean, I'm here to talk to you. Some simple questions, really. There's no need to be so nervous, unless you have a reason to be nervous. I'm innocent! I swear! No, I was just making a joke, trying to break the tension. I've been told I'm very dry, so please accept my apologies. It's okay, I accept. Thank you for questioning me, and please go about your duties. I will stay out of your way. I appreciate that, thank you. I haven't any more... Wait, I haven't asked any questions yet. Alright, I didn't think you'd realize. Fine, go ahead. I hate talking about myself. We really shouldn't. Who are you? Oh, you don't care about that, detective. I'm just a little mouse, nothing special. And like I said, also super innocent. I'm sure you are, so you wouldn't mind if I searched your backpack, for instance? Why would you need to do that? I haven't stolen anything and put it in my backpack, if that's what you think. I was just kidding again. Why did you come to the museum today? I came here for a date, okay? And they stood me up. Is that what you wanted me to say? Ad break is starting soon. Don't you know how hard it is these days with the apps and the mixers and socializing and being attractive? Not to mention the texting and the flirting and the leaving the house. Oh, don't get me started on having to go outside. It's dreadful, detective. It's terrible. The only silver lining is you can find places like this that are free to get stood up. Imagine having to pay for that type of embarrassment. Wait. Actually, never mind. My apologies. I'm sure there's another topic we can discuss instead. Okay, detective. If you say so. What do you do? As in, what do you do for work? How do you make a living? I don't really make a living. I'm kind of unmaking a living, getting further and further in debt. Couldn't you tell from my distinct lack of sleep? I'm a student. Oh, I see. What are you studying? Game design. For the creativity of it, you know? And obviously the money. There's no denying the tech industry is booming. It's gonna keep growing and growing. Line go up. Ha! Couldn't ask for more fantastic working conditions, too. It's incredibly accessible, historically inclusive. Diversity. I don't know. Stability? Look no further. Problematic behavior and business practice? Not here. Literally nothing to complain about. Not a thing at all. Actually, why don't we talk about something else? Okay, detective, if you say so. about today's events. Is that important? I don't think it is. Let's not do that. What were you doing? How far back should I go? Came in a few hours ago and started going through a few exhibits. You can skip ahead slightly. Right, of course, totally. I got to the natural history exhibit after a bit and started admiring all the artwork there. I could overhear what sounded kind of like an argument. I didn't give it too much thought, minding my own business, but it started to get more intense. It didn't take long to realize it had escalated further than it should have. Everything spun out of control from there. I see. We should go over those details as well. Okay, Detective, if you say so. What happened? I couldn't tell what it was about, but I heard the argument upstairs was beginning to get physical. Bad things just kind of happen randomly nowadays. Better not to take any chances, you know? I got to the foyer, but that's when my suspicions were solidified. The sound of a gunshot. I pounced toward the door and I reached for the handle. The place went into total lockdown. I was scared, Detective. I felt cornered. Trapped. I did the only thing I could think of. I retreated into the sculpture gallery to hide until things calmed down. I almost knocked over one of the sculptures in my haste. Thankfully, it wasn't too long till everything seemed under control again. As in control as it could be, I suppose. Let's change the topic, alright? Okay, Detective, if you say so. And that's that for the mouse. The bunny is probably the guide? Yep. Greetings, Detective. Boy, am I glad you're here. Glad to be here, although not necessarily under these circumstances. Happy to help, nonetheless. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be much help. I'm a bit of an anxious rabbit, you see. But that's okay. We can work through it slowly, with whatever information we have. That's quite a relief. I know a lot about being a guide, but I'm afraid I just don't hold up under pressure. It is what it is, right? Of course. I'll need to ask a lot of questions. I can't leave any stone unturned, but let me know if it becomes too much. That sounds like a great plan, Detective. Great. Let's get to it, if you're ready. Sure thing, Detective. Let's start with the personal... whatever you need. Who are you? Gosh, I don't tend to talk about myself much. After a few years, I'm still the museum's newest employee, but I've been into art history for a long time. Interesting. How do you spend your free time? Oh, nothing super exciting. I have a sweet tooth, so I bake a bunch. Enjoy a good period drama. I read when I can. What else? Considering your line of work, you never pursued the arts? Gosh, no. I mean, I did try watercolor once or twice. Yeah, but it was bad. Bad. Don't get me started on charcoals and oil pastels I have sitting in my closet. A bit of an impulse. Obviously, I study art a lot, but no, never really felt like making much. It's definitely not for everyone, including myself. Should we change the topic then? Sure thing, Detective. What do you do? I'm the current leader of education and guest relations here at the museum. If visitors have questions or if they want a tour, I'm their bunny. Aside from that, I'm also the youngest member of the team, so I try to manage our marketing and outreach. The curator and the guard don't really understand social media, you know. Nowadays, though, that's my least favorite part of the job. The internet can be a cruel place. I don't envy you in the least. Folks make fair points, like about our exhibits, but they don't really understand how any of it works. They don't like that we keep art from cultures that aren't ours, and I don't disagree with them. But lots of people might never be exposed to those other cultures if we didn't. I don't know. It's complicated. Most of the world is these days. Why don't we discuss another point? Sure thing, Detective. Just the most soul-draining corporate office work. I went to school for business, whatever that means. In retrospect, it felt like a bit of a scam. It's not like I was passionate about any of it, but it was safe, or so they said. Are you passionate about what you do now? Absolutely. I wouldn't change a thing, at least no major thing, right? Sure, there are bigger museums and better pay, but I used to think about that kind of thing way too much. I like the people here. I trust them, and they appreciate me. I get to inspire people's passions. Can't ask for more than that, I suppose. I do want to ask some more questions, though, if that's okay. Sure thing, Detective. What were you doing? Before everything started to unravel, I was going about a normal day's business. More specifically, I was answering questions and offering tours to the various guests, but with varying success. That's not totally weird or anything, but the critic was the first to really engage at all. He had some questions about a sculpture, but then he started questioning my qualifications. Any particular reason for the change in topic? Maybe it was a distraction. We could overhear the old-timer shouting upstairs, but eventually he went upstairs to go check on him anyways. I figured it would diffuse itself and they'd come back down, so I went into Antiquities hoping I could escort them out for causing trouble. That didn't go as planned, unfortunately. I can see that. How about we discuss what happened next? You said they were asking you some personal questions, but he described it as only a debate between experts. Well, I did say questions, but there were more challenges. Did it feel like perhaps he had an ulterior motive? You mentioned the possibility it could have been a distraction. I don't think he really had a goal. He was just being a curmudgeonly old man. That sounds rude, but true. And that isn't anything new, so I guess I didn't think too much of it. Not until, well, you know the rest by now. I do, yes. Thanks for clarifying that. Maybe we should clear up a few other things. Honestly, it all felt very sudden. I don't even really remember what happened. After everything had sort of resolved or calmed down, the curator said someone had shot a gun in the museum. That seems like a pretty difficult detail to miss with how loud it would be against all these marble walls. Yeah, the noise. I think that's what sent me into shock. The next thing I remember was the curator's voice breaking through this haze. They were trying to get me to do my breathing exercises. When I was responsive enough, they left to call the police. But I keep thinking that if the curator hadn't prioritized me, maybe the diamond wouldn't have been stolen. You shouldn't feel guilty. It's natural the curator would be concerned for you, especially over some priceless rock. A rock that, as far as we know, is still around here somewhere, and I'll find it. I guess you're right. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Detective. Don't worry about it. Let's talk about something else, okay? Sure thing, Detective. No, we're not going to talk about anything else, because everything else is talked about. Let's see what it's telling us. Okay, so... the tourist still has a question. Card came running into the courtyard, but didn't stop to listen to the Turks. It became clear he had made his way over the natural podcast. Returned the camera and took out towards the punk. He tried to escape. Rewrite the foyer. Okay. Yeah, motive one last for a criminal organization. Artist, critic, student, sell off precious gemstone to pay off his overwhelming debts. Enter the museum, paid admission. No, he mentioned it was free. He eventually found his way into the natural history exhibit. He overheard an argument begin upstairs. When it sounded like argument had escalated physical, he decided to move quickly. It was then he heard the gunshot, causing him to hesitate at the sound. When the alarm was triggered, locking the front door. Cornered, fearful, and sensing a greater possible threat, student retreated into his culture. A student attempted to hide. Okay. We haven't found the podcaster yet. All these... Oh yeah, podcaster's the dead one. Or the unalive one. It is 9 o'clock, so I think we've met everybody. And so it's a good time to call it there. If this gets enough views, or if anybody's interested, I can continue this next week, or I'll just continue it on my own. It's a lot of reading. I am in need of hydration. I've drunk almost my whole bottle of water. There we go. So we're gonna wrap it up there, And maybe I'll continue next week because I do want to share this. It's a fun little thing, even if it has a lot of reading. So I guess we'll do that. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and donate plasma. Have a good one.